All right, it is Tuesday, 4 o'clock sharp. I'm joined as always by the wonderful, the incomparable Noah Rubin. Good afternoon, sir. How are you today?
Zach, man, I'm good. I always love hearing your adjectives. It just brings a smile to my face. It makes me feel good about myself. And who doesn't want to hear that good things? So I appreciate that. But yeah, man, it's a Tuesday, 2 days until Thanksgiving. So I'm sure that's what is on everybody's mind. But there's still a few more days of basketball, so there's still plenty to talk about.
No, let's go off topic just a little bit here. I am currently sitting in my living room for this live stream, and I'm looking directly at the tree that me and the family went and got over the weekend and decorated on Saturday. Is it too early to decorate for Christmas yet? How about you and your wife? I know you guys recently bought a house. Are you going big with the Christmas decorations this year?
So we're not going big with the decorations, but it's definitely not too early. We actually decorated a couple days before Halloween, so don't make fun of
Oh,
us. But we
no.
definitely did that very, very early. Not saying that is the best time to decorate for Christmas, but that's what we did. So to answer your question, no, it's not too early at all, at all.
All right. I'm loving it, man. No, I will never poke fun at somebody that likes to decorate for Christmas, dude. I get into it hard. I love it. All right. So, as you mentioned, we are 2 days away from Thanksgiving. I currently have an article in the cooker right now. Players we're thankful for this season. I did one last year as well. There's a little bit of overlap. There's a couple of guys that I was thankful for last year that I'm thankful for again this year. But a couple of names certainly come to mind for me this year. So I'm going to just go ahead and give you a couple of the guys that I'm thankful for. Of course, my man Tyrese Halliburton. How could I not be thankful for a guy who was tremendous a season ago and is even better this year, right? So career highs in points, comfortably leading the league in assists, nightly double guy, plenty of steals, plenty of triples, plenty of highlight plays. Maybe going to lead his team to the in-season tournament championship. It's hard to say. That's my first one. My second one is going to be Joel Embiid, a guy who has surprisingly not missed a game this season and is ranked third in per game fantasy value. He's doing just about everything you could expect from him. Big time points, over 30 points a game, over 11 rebounds per game, career high 6 assists this season. Taking some of the slack over from Tyrese Maxey, who's averaging better than 7 assists per game. They're doing their best to shoulder the load with James Harden out. And as the number 2 seed in the East, I think they're doing a pretty good job. And my third player, this one might be a little unorthodox, but how about a guy that's been top 10 in 9-cat, Lauri Markkanen? Lauri Markkanen this year, 25 points, almost 9 rebounds, better than a steal and a block per game, 3.5 triples, an efficient shooter, an efficient scorer. Utah is going nowhere in a hurry, but damn it if they're not fun to watch thanks to Lauri Markkanen and some of these young guns that are on the team. So, Noah, there is my soliloquy to start us off before we get into some of these questions and comments. Who are the guys that you are most thankful for? You're sitting around the Thanksgiving table, you're about to break bread with your loved ones, and these names come to mind. Go ahead.
And the first one was going to be Joel Embiid. I think it's okay for both of us to be thankful for Joel Embiid. Pretty much every draft I had the number 2 overall pick. So I was able to get Embiid in the majority of my leagues. And for the leagues I have wins in or I'm doing well in, it's because of him. And the leagues that I'm struggling in, I am staying afloat because of him. So shout out to Joel Embiid for putting up big time numbers. The second player I think that I'm thankful for, that I will say that I'm thankful for, and it's really only the last couple of games because I'm not very thankful for what he's done the majority of the season, but I just want to talk about it because it's finally going well. Andrew Wiggins, who was awful or has been awful. Let's see, he's played 15 games. I'd say 13 of them he has been bad, but he had a really good one, and I'm hoping that he can build off of it and that I can just continue to be thankful for him. And the fact that I was able to draft him, even if it's looking like a horrible pick so far. But I'm still thankful for him. My third player is going to be Dyson Daniels, that I'm very thankful for because I was able to get him in multiple leagues off the waiver wire. Even if his time as a starting point guard is probably going to be done in a couple of weeks or within the next couple of weeks, he's been very good at providing well-rounded value, and I don't think it's going to be very long before he is a full-time starter for the Pelicans. I think within the next couple of seasons, that's just going to be his role, and we got a little sneak peek of what that could look like over the past week or two. So those are the three guys that I'm probably most thankful for. I'll say one that I'm very not thankful for that I did. I, in a draft, was picking right before Josh Lloyd, and I knew that he liked Jordan Poole, and I was like, there's no way, because it was going to be, he gets 2 in a row, and then it's back to me. I was like, there's no way I get Jordan Poole if I wait here. So I'm going to go ahead and take him. And then 2 picks later, Josh got Tyrese Maxey right before I could get him. So I got Jordan Poole. He got Tyrese Maxey. He has the best record in the league, and I think that that's a good reason for it. So not thankful for Jordan Poole.
No, absolutely not thankful for Jordan Poole, who has basically clowned his way through his brief time in Washington. Do we see any hope for Jordan Poole on the horizon? There's some rumblings that maybe Washington's already looking to trade him just a month into the season. I mean, any validity to that, you think? You think there are some suitors for Jordan Poole?
I don't think there is. I was actually you sent us that tweet, sent it to me in ref, and hours later I was like looking at it again to try and see if I could find where it came from Mark Stein, but it got community noted and people were saying that Mark Stein actually didn't say this. So fake rumor, but it was very believable with how he's played so far. Like if somebody would have said, yeah, Jordan Poole, like they're going to look to trade him, not gaining much interest, but they're going to look to move on from him. It's like, yeah, I can understand that. I believe that. So will they actually move him at the trade deadline? I don't think so, because it just doesn't seem like they're going to be able to get much for him at this point. His value is probably even lower than it was last year. So no, I imagine he's in Washington at least the rest of the season. And while he can probably, I would think, can't be much worse than he has been so far, that he will get better. What does that look like? Getting him in the 4th round?
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to be able to redeem that.
And just as a note here, because just to highlight my gullibility, this is from a friend of the show. Thanks for our Australian friends, Mitch Casey and company, tuning in. That tweet was fake. Yes. Thank you. As Noah pointed out, I was extremely gullible in taking a look at that tweet, but it is very believable. All right. So let's go ahead and get into our comments. I think we've spent enough time talking about guys we're thankful for and highlighting how bad Jordan Poole has been. I feel like that's become a running segment on this show. How bad is Jordan Poole for this week? So maybe we'll have to embrace that for next week. All right. From Milan S. Love you guys. Have to reactivate Jamal and Duran soon. Head-to-head redraft. Drop one of Lowry, Ivy, Duncan, and one of Bilal, Santi, and PJ Dub. Oh, my. So, first of all, we love you too. Thank you very much for the question. All right. Have to reactivate Jamal and Duran soon. What are you doing here? I mean, so at least for Jamal, right, we have 2 more games. He's not playing at least through Friday. So you have a few days maybe to weigh your options. What are you thinking here? Initially, when I look at this, Ivy is going to be the drop for me. I'm keeping Duncan Robinson. I'm hanging on to Kyle Lowry. I know he recently got that endorsement from Spanx that's sponsoring the NBA. So now I'm teasing on that one.
Oh my gosh. I was like, what are you talking about?
That's some more fake news too. Ivy to me would be the drop out of that group. The second group is a little more challenging though. What are you thinking here?
Before I say it, I needed to, I guess, I just personally don't have Kyle Lowry anywhere and don't really have much interest in rostering him. Like looking at his numbers, he's been a top 100 guy because I guess the steals are pretty good, 1.4 per game. The assists are decent, 4.8. I mean, not good for him, but I I think I like Ivy's upside. Would probably depend on categories a little bit. Even if Jaden Ivey has been disappointing, his role has been disappointing. I'd personally rather have the upside of Jaden Ivey and knowing that he's going to give me a few extra points than Kyle Lowry. So I might actually drop Lowry unless I have a punt build that he fits better than Ivey, but definitely not dropping Duncan Robinson, which is, I think, preseason. If you would have said between these three, Duncan Robinson would be the drop, which is kind of crazy and kind of cool how good of a season he's having.
Yeah.
And then as far as the last three, yeah, I think it is much more difficult. I love Bilal's upside. Santi Aldama has been awesome, or at least had an awesome game and should continue to start until Marcus Smart's back, which is a couple more weeks. Is it PJ Washington? Like he moved to the bench in their last game with Miles Bridges moving back into the starting unit. And if he's coming off the bench, I'll look at his numbers from that game to see exactly what that looks like, because that would probably, let's see, he had 28 minutes played, finished with 15 points, a board, an assist, 2 steals, a block, and 3 threes. So it may be PJ Washington for me. It may be PJ Washington.
Yeah. Miles Bridges coming back and playing big minutes. Is that your reasoning here for dropping PJ Dubs?
I think it is. Yeah, I think that's my reason. I might have to just double check Bilal's minutes as well, just to make sure I'm not totally crazy. Let's see. I played 25 last night, 12 points, 3 boards, and assists, 2 steals, 2 threes. So kind of similar, but I think it may be PJ Washington just because Santi Aldama is going to be really good the next couple of weeks. I don't think I'd want to drop him. And I like Koulibaly's upside, especially as they lose more games. His role is probably only going to get bigger. So.
And so you're thinking that Aldama will be Santa Claus over the next few weeks, right? He's going to be delivering plenty of fantasy presents.
Yeah, I mean, is Marcus Smart's timeline going to line right up with Christmas? I don't remember exactly how much longer it's going to be, but it would be kind of crazy if Santi Aldama was providing really good value until Christmas and then just didn't do anything after that. Like, I think that'd be kind of funny because then he would be Santa Claus.
Any hope for him beyond John or beyond Marcus Smart's return? I mean, is this going to be a breakout season for him? I did the Reddit AMA today, and somebody asked, "Is this a breakout season for Aldama, or is he just on loan right now until guys get healthy?"
I don't think so. I think it is more of just kind of a temporary thing based off opportunity. Like it's not like they moved him into the starting lineup for Bismack Biyombo and he's going to start the rest of the season. Like the moment Marcus Smart is back or John Moran is back, he's going to move back to the bench. So, yeah, it's not. I mean, it's a good opportunity right now, good situation right now. Not anything where he's in the midst of a breakout.
All right. From Alex Banks. Hi, guys. In a 9-cat league that tries to curb stashing by making us start guys the week we get them. That's interesting. Please pick 2. Oubre, Wiggins, either Bogdanovich, PJ Dubs, Jalen Green, Jaime Jaquez, or Bobby P. Ooh, so pick 2 of these guys. So you have to start them, Noah. Who are you going with?
I think my lock here is Jaime Jaquez, and I might go. Oh man, I'm trying not to be biased and go Andrew Wiggins, but I think I'd go Bogdanovich. Bojan, we don't really know what his role is going to look like. I'd assume he starts, and based on Monty Williams' quotes, it looked like it's not a done deal that Asar Thompson's going to stay in the starting unit, which just sounds like an absolute mess that if they move Bojan in there as the 3. But we don't really know what his role is necessarily going to look like. Kelly Oubre, don't know how much longer he's going to be out. PJ Washington just lost minutes. Jalen Green just hasn't been as good. Like last night, he only played 23 minutes because he kind of got benched to close the game in favor of Aaron Holiday, who's having a good game, but like a role player that they just kind of added this summer versus a guy that is a former number 2 overall pick. Bobby Portis, I think we kind of know what we're going to get from him. Solid value, but really not going to pop off unless Brook Lopez or Giannis is out. So I think really like what Jaime Jaquez has done recently for the Heat. Seems like he's got just a very complete game. Is it perfect for fantasy and 9Cat? Is he giving you production everywhere? No, but it seems like his role is pretty safe. And then Bogdanovic has been very, very good off the bench. Plenty of threes. Quinn Snyder's offense is designed to get up threes, and he's probably their best shooter. So he's been able to get up plenty of them. So those are probably the two I would go with and feel the best about.
All right, I think we can agree on that one. What is the ceiling for Double J rest of the season? Is it top 100? Does he have that level of upside? I think he does.
I didn't know what Double J you were talking about, and then I remembered Jaime Jaquez, like literally the guy we were just talking about. Top 100, that would probably be his best. Yeah, like finishing the top 100 would be the best we'd really see out of him. Last 2 weeks, he's been just outside of the top 100, 31.1 minutes per game with 13.4 points, 3.9 boards, 2.7 assists, 1.1 steals, 1.6 threes, shooting 53.5% from the floor during that stretch. Doesn't really give you any blocks, but that's fine. A solid defender, and also being able to get a steal per game helps us out for fantasy, even if you don't have to get that to be a good defender. But going to play a big role moving forward, it seems like. So, yeah, no, I think top 100 is probably best case scenario because he's not necessarily dominating any individual category, but yeah, top 100.
And does he rival Josh Giddey for best hair in the NBA?
Oh gosh, that has to be a whole nother show, Zach. If we're going to do hair rankings, I don't know if I can do those off the top of my head, but it seems like if we're comparing like long flowing hair, yes, he has to be in competition with Josh Giddey, and I can't think of many others that would rival them.
I think he's absolutely in the conversation for best mustache. But all right, now we need to move on. All right. Morning, my dudes. Good morning, Brian B. Is it time to pick up Uncle Bogey? Who do I drop? Shaden, EG, or Herb? I think that's an easy drop of Eric Gordon for me.
Yeah, don't drop Herb Jones. He's been absolutely phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say like a top 30 player in 9Cat league so far this year. I mean, I'm assuming this is 9Cat. Even if it's points, don't drop him. Yeah, I would drop Eric Gordon for sure. I don't know when Bradley Beal is going to be back, but even though he has been pretty decent recently, he's never going to be a top 2 option as long as Book and KD are healthy. So,
wait a minute now. Here's another wrinkle. Also, Heisenberg was dropped. So, to me, my thinking is I'm dropping Shaden, I'm dropping EG, and I'm picking up Bald Derek and Uncle Bogey.
I may just honestly leave Bojan Bogdanovic on the waiver wire and just pick up Derek White for Eric Gordon. I mean, we know Bojan scored a lot last year. Is he going to come right in after not playing in probably like 10 months and immediately give us 20 points per game when it's kind of Cade Cunningham's team now and he's healthy? I don't really know. I feel more comfortable with what Shaden Sharp is doing than with what Bojan Bogdanovic might be able to do. So I think my move there would be drop Eric Gordon, pick up Derek White.
All right, Eric for Derek. Love it. What are your thoughts on where Osser lands rest of season in terms of ranking? He doesn't really fit my build and looking to move him. All right, so this is a case of it's not you, it's me. So who are you thinking for Osser Thompson? I think when people ask what player would you trade for, I think that's kind of a loaded question. I think the better question is what range are you looking for? Top 50, top 75? So somebody that fits this guy's build a little bit better. Are you looking for somebody that's in the top 50 to move Osser? Are you looking for somebody in the top 75? You think maybe he takes a hit with Uncle Bogey coming back? Talk us through it, Noah.
Yeah, honestly, I'm probably looking at more of like a top 50 guy. There is definitely a chance that he loses out on minutes when Bojan gets back in the lineup because while I think everybody in their right mind would – or, okay, I'll say it like this. Everybody that plays fantasy basketball would prefer that he starts and Bojan Bogdanovic fills in for Isaiah Stewart. Yes. I would also think that most people that are just basketball fans would want to do the same thing, even if Isaiah Stewart has been pretty decent this year. Running a too big lineup just doesn't seem to work as well in the modern NBA in most cases. So with that being said, I would assume he continues to start, but we don't really know. Monty Williams didn't seem to want to commit to that when he's asked about it. I think it was this last week. But Sar Thompson has been a top 75 guy, despite not giving us any threes, shooting a low percentage from the floor, and shooting a low free throw percentage. He has been excellent as a rebounder and also providing steals and blocks, especially for we'll say a wing guy, a 2-3, because he probably has eligibility in both spots. So I think I would definitely be looking for probably like a top 50 guy, because if he doesn't fit your build and he fits somebody else's build, he fits it flawlessly if they're looking for steals, blocks, and rebounds. So you should be able to get a top 50 guy, or at least somebody that is kind of in a similar range of production in the categories that you need. So excellent rebound, steals, and blocks. You're looking for a guy that fits your build better, that is excellent in about 3 categories, in my opinion.
All right. Over to Thomas. Thoughts on Sohan rest of season? Would you drop KCP for him? I think for me, I would prefer KCP. Neither guy has really been great this season. KCP gets you more minutes, and he's far more valuable in terms of defensive contributions. Neither of them score very much. Sohan's getting you some more rebounds and assists. But his rebounds and assists aren't elite by any stretch of the imagination. So I'll take KCP, a guy that's going to get you 1.5 to 2 steals a game, maybe half a block. The percentages are far better. Low turnovers. Playing for a team that has a very short bench. So yeah, give me KCP here.
Yeah, I think I would agree. The Jeremy Sohan point guard experiment has been eventful. We'll call it eventful. I don't necessarily think it's been fun, but it's been eventful. They're going to try and see if they can make it work. If anything, it helps them get a better draft pick next year. And if it does work, then you have a 6'8" guy playing point guard for the next 10 years, which is awesome. But with that, there's been a good bit of struggles. I think he's a guy that you kind of imagine like in your head as a better defensive playmaker than what he's actually given us. Or at least maybe that's just my mind. But the rebounds and assists are okay, but I mean, field goal percentage is low. So it's, I guess, category dependent, but I would definitely rather have KCP in most scenarios.
All right. Moving down the list, we have a stream of comments here. Good day, guys, from our friend Kool-Aid Trippin'. Yo, Mitch is here. Mitch from Ball Boys Fantasy Basketball. Again, we usually have Adam King representing Australia in these live chats, but today it is Mitch Casey, new friend of the show, friend of ours from outside of the show. Shout out, Mitch, big fan. And Kool-Aid Trippin'. I will speak for Noah and I both of us big fans of Mitch. They're doing some great work with Ball Boys Fantasy, so definitely show him some love. All right. Moving down the list, another one from another double J, not Jaime, but Jason. Jason Johns, I'm pretty strong assists already, but if I can move Curry for Hallie, I have to do it, right? I would say.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's dependent on categories. Like if you're dominating threes, and I probably wouldn't move off of Steph, but I'd rather have Halliburton in most scenarios. I think I feel better about Halliburton playing more games than Curry this year, which I think is kind of important.
Yeah.
I think that the Pacers already are, but will continue to be in the playoff hunt. So it's not like he's going to get shut down at any point. There's no concern about that for me. So I'd rather have Halliburton in a vacuum.
Right on. Also, drop Denny, Keontae Suggs, or Tyus for Koulibaly. Yeah, I'll be sure to drop Tyus Jones. He's been a drop for me for 2 weeks. See ya.
Yeah, I think I was going to say it's either Denny or Tyus for me, but I'll roll with you and say Tyus. I would not drop Keontae or Jalen Suggs for sure. I think Tyus Jones did a little bit better in their last game, though, so maybe there is a slimmer of hope. But yeah, it's got to be one of the Wizards to pick up another Wizard. The last thing you want is to have 3 Wizards on your team.
Yeah, that is a recipe for disaster. Just ask the guys that are actually playing the games. Washington is horrendous this season, but tickets are cheap. So we will Yeah, we're getting the boys tickets to go see the Clippers for Christmas,
Mm.
man. So that will be a fun one.
They
I'm
were
looking
just
forward to
dying
it.
to see Terrence Mann, correct?
That dude, that's it, man. As soon as I saw that Russ requested that move to the bench, that cinched it, man.
That's let them know. Let the Clippers know that way they don't even consider making the move back, and they'll just roll with what they have because it's working. But if they also know they're going to get you and your family in the building, I think it's a good move.
I'll make sure to pull some strings, man. So that brings up a great question. Russell Westbrook, is he a hold right now in 12-team leagues or
No.
easily droppable? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly how many minutes he played in their last game, but his minutes were very low in that first game when he came off the bench, and the numbers weren't there at all. The only thing that was memorable about his performance was that he tried to dunk on Dylan Brooks, and then Dylan Brooks told me he had no hops, and then he laughed, and it was funny. But the numbers weren't there whatsoever. And when I quickly looked at it, because I wasn't blurbing that one last night, I think Ralph was, but he wasn't really doing much again. So I would drop him at this point. I don't think that there's any hope for any minutes to come back, barring injury. Obviously, if, we don't wish injury on anybody, but if like Harden were to deal with an injury and have to miss a game, that would allow Russ to come back into the starting unit and have the ball in his hands, which I think would be good enough for me to stream him. But he's not a guy I'm interested in keeping around.
All right. All right. More from Kool-Aid Trippin'. Hawks question, thoughts on Double O, Onyeka Okongwu. He is not taking advantage of his minutes. Do we still keep hoping? I will turn it over to you, Noah.
I guess if it's like a redraft league, I mean, I'm still going to keep hoping. I don't think he's a drop candidate by any means, but it doesn't seem like they're going to be like selling at the trade deadline. It hasn't gone to crap. Clint Capella is probably still going to be with the team at least the rest of the season, unless something does change over the next 2.5 months. But yeah, he hasn't been quite as good in the minutes he's gotten. So do I hope that I'm going to continue to keep hoping, but it's not, I'm not as optimistic as I was at the beginning of the season about this being a breakout year for him. If he gets to move into the starting unit for one reason or another, then yes, I'm all in. But yeah, it has been pretty dreadful so far. Not necessarily just like with his play, but just like with the opportunity. It's not anywhere what I thought it would be.
Very disappointing for Okongwu. Kobe White in the hair combo. Yes, Kobe White with a beautiful afro. I don't know how we could have forgotten about him. And no, without looking, can you tell me what Kobe White's first name is? It is not Kobe.
Oh, then no. That would have been my guess, but I felt too obvious. You're not going to ask what his first name is when it's right there. No, I'm sure you can tell me, though.
His name is Alec Jacoby White.
Interesting.
All right. Moving down the list from Ball Boys Fantasy. Any idea why Poole's free throw attempt rate is down so low? You boys think it will come back up closer to last year's? I've got to hope that there is some sort of positive regression coming for Jordan Poole. I mean, he is a phenomenal three-point shooter. We saw that in Golden State. But, yeah, as you mentioned, the free throw rate is way down. He is a guy, because of his length and speed, is a guy that can get to the basket, a guy that should be getting to the free throw line quite a bit more. To be honest with you, I think the problem with his game all around is just lack of effort. I really, when you watch him, he really just looks like he's out there just dogging it. Noah, do you have anything more concrete than me just saying, hey, he doesn't care?
So I can give you the numbers because, like, respect to Mitch, he's not going to give us an easy one. Not going to give us an easy question. We're going to have to go digging for the numbers. His free throw rate this year is 0.183. Last year was a career best 0.325, which is, I believe, just translates to like 18.3% or 32.5%. It's the number of free throws per field goal attempt. So he's just shooting more shots and not getting as many free throws. Could it be, he was playing for the Warriors last year and they get a generous whistle, which I have no math to back that up, but I think that's kind of the case, is that most people think Warriors just get a bunch of calls. Could it be the case? I don't know. But now he's playing for the lowly Wizards and he's just not getting the same calls. But could it be that? Maybe. But it also just seems like the free throw rate last year was significantly higher than the rest of his career. So it could just be regressing more towards the norm for him. And last year was more of the outlier good. And this year has just been an awful season for him. I mean, he's even said fairly recently, it's a great opportunity for him to kind of run the show and for it to be his team. And we're like, dude, you're averaging like 16.6 points and shooting 39.6% from the floor. Like, sure, you're the quote unquote face of the franchise, but that's like what you're doing isn't all that great. It's not, superstar level face of the franchise, whatever. So I don't think it's going to get better, or at least anywhere near what it was last year, just because, like, one, it's been an overall bad season for him, but two, I think last year's was more of a outlier for him. I don't see him getting back to that probably at any point of his career.
All right. Better ESPN point stream today between KBD and Precious. My waivers are thin. Yes, that is an understatement. So these two are the two that I'm looking at. All right, Noah, take it away, man. Who are you taking here? Is this just a coin flip? Tails, I'll go Precious, and heads, I'll go KBD? Or is there any sort of method to the madness here between these two unappealing waiver wire options?
I was just looking up KBD's numbers. He played 23 minutes in their last game with 6 points, a rebound, an assist, a steal, 2 blocks, 1 of 4 on threes, 2 of 6 from the floor. Nothing special. And now I'm going to try and quickly pull up Precious Achiuwa's numbers. I think I would lean KBD. Achiuwa, I played 19 minutes in their last game, but they beat Detroit by 30. So it's like kind of hard to gauge if that was real minutes. I mean, he played 24 the previous one, but the numbers were a little inflated because they were just, again, blowing Detroit out. So he's able to have a little bit more offensive freedom, I think. I was going to say KBD. No, I think I am going to stay with KBD. They're playing Portland. I think that there's what is it? We'll call it a halfway decent chance that they win by 30. I mean, with how bad Portland has been. Yep. So maybe there's a chance that KBD plays 25 minutes and they try and limit KD and Book as much as possible so he gets a few more extra shots. I like that opportunity better than Precious Achiuwa against Toronto, against Orlando, in Orlando, against a good defensive Magic team. They don't have Wendell Carter, but I like the opportunity better for Bates Diop.
Agree with you. Yeah, Orlando, one of the better defenses in basketball right now. That's a tough matchup for a guy that gives you very little to begin with. Drop 3, Fultz, double O, Stewart, Bogey, Tillman, Oubre. Oof, this is I almost just want to respond and say yes. Just clear house. Who are we thinking here? Tillman, I think, is easily off the bat, right? He's going to be out. He's week to week right now. So Tillman, you're gone. Oubre, Oubre hit by a car. No idea when he's coming back. That's not an injury that we typically, that we have a precedent to gauge. Uncle Bogey set to return. Isaiah Stewart. I think Tillman and Stewart for me are easy drops. Stewart, he's giving you nothing. I know Duren is dealing with an injury right now, but I still don't really care much for Stewart. What are you thinking here, man? Are those two the easy drops, and is there a third for you?
I think the definite not drops are Fultz and OO. I think Markelle Fultz has been hurt, if I'm not mistaken. He's been out of the lineup. Yeah, he definitely has because I have him
for a while.
He's been sitting on my bench.
Yeah.
But when he plays and when he's back, he's going to give you, even if he hasn't been quite as good this season, like he's still going to give you good numbers, like rosterable numbers. OO is still the same. Like it's kind of inflated by production in certain categories. Like he's shooting 93% from the free throw line. I don't think he's that good of a free throw shooter, but he's been cash money this season, but he's been a 7th round value. So not necessarily a guy I'm looking to drop. I think it is those three for me: Stewart, Tillman, and Oubre. I don't think Oubre is going to be out quite as long as I remember reading something that he wasn't going to be out like rest of the season or anything like that, but like it's still going to be a little while. Um, and I think it's the upside. We don't really know what it's going to look like for Bojan Bogdanovic. I think we was talking about that earlier. It may not be ideal, but he's going to be back before Oubre, and Isaiah Stewart and Xavier Tillman aren't doing anything for me. Tillman's, like you said, week to week, but he's been backing up Bismack Biyombo. He looked like he was going to be the steal of the year over the first couple of weeks, and then he lost his spot to a guy that they just picked up out of free, like he was just sitting there, I guess, as a free agent, and came off the couch and took his starting spot. And it doesn't look like he's going to give it back because he's been really good. So Tillman and Stewart are probably the easy drops for me, and then I'd prefer Bojan to Oubre.
All right. Oh, looks like we missed a question earlier. Following back up, should I trade Halliburton for Fox and Butler? Uh, hmm. That is a good question. That seems like fairly good value. I mean, you're getting tremendous points from De'Aaron Fox. You're getting those strong defensive contributions from Butler. So, what do you think here, Noah? Fox and Butler over Hallie and replacement player?
I think so. I think I would prefer De'Aaron Fox and Jimmy Butler. De'Aaron Fox has somehow magically taken yet another step forward this season, giving you he's averaging 3.4 threes per game.
Yeah.
Like he had a really bad night last night against the Pelicans. I expect that he's gonna because they played in New Orleans on Monday. They play in New Orleans again on Wednesday. I'm expecting him to bounce back and have a big night, or at least a very good night. 3.4 threes per game, like career high by far. I think his previous career high is 1.8. I think he's having a good enough season. Plus, Jimmy Butler's still awesome. Like he is. I don't know the exact numbers off the top of my head for what he's done this season, but he's still a guy that I would rely on. Halliburton's great, but I would rather have the 2-for-1 in that. And I don't think there's anybody that should be on a waiver wire that makes up the difference.
All right. I think we are in agreement there. D Fox was bad last time. Yeah, no, you just touched on it. Fox has scored 30 or more points in four of his 8 games this season. He's been phenomenal from beyond the arc, career high, almost 30 points per game. Yeah, he's been awesome. No need to worry about one bad game from him.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Is CP3 a sell high? If so, who should I target in return in terms of current buy low players? Oh, man. Is CP3 a sell high, Noah? I would have to say yes. I mean, he was with Draymond Green out. He's picked things up a little bit. Obviously, Curry was out briefly. What do you think here about Curry, about CP3? I mean, nobody in Golden State really, to me, I would really want a roster outside of Curry and maybe Podzemski, maybe Saric if you're looking for something. But, I mean, it's been pretty brutal for this team. What do you think about CP3 looking to sell high?
I would be if you can kind of sucker somebody into trading for him. Not that he's been bad. He's been much better than I expected him to be. But I think he has kind of benefited, especially recently, from Draymond being suspended. He had 12 assists last night. I think also 15 points, 6 boards. But when Draymond's back, he's coming off the bench. The minutes are down. He's still going to have the ball in his hands when he's on the floor, but the opportunities are less. So yes, he's a guy that I'm looking to sell high on if I'm able to. However, I think Draymond has 1 game left of his suspension. So if you're able to show somebody, hey, look what he did, and oh my gosh, yeah, 12 assists, Chris Paul is back, I'll trade for him. Then yeah, like I would do it. But I think he's probably not an easy guy to sell high on. But if you need the assists and steals, like it'll be less off the bench, but they're still kind of there. He's somehow, even at 38, has had no issues getting plenty of assists and plenty of steals. So yes, try and sell high, but I don't really know how well that would work.
All right. Trying to trade for OG. Are any of these two guys going to get it done? My answer was no until I saw that final name on the list. And personally, yeah, I think if I had OG and somebody offered me Oster Thompson, I'd make the move. I know OG has been underperforming. Maybe Thompson has been overperforming, but at this point, I don't know. At this point, who would you rather have, Oster Thompson or OG Anunoby? Because I'd rather have Oster Thompson.
I think it's close enough that two of those guys would definitely get it done for me. It's kind of hard to say, like, if I was, actually in that like situation, what would I do? Because I think face value, I'd rather have OG, but the numbers lean Asar this season as a rookie, and in theory, he should get better as the season continues to go along and Detroit continues to kind of lose games and stink. So definitely any of those two should be enough to get it done, though a 1-for-1 Asar for OG would probably should be enough to get it done on its own. But as far as the rest of the guys, I don't think two of those would be enough for me to part with OG. And I think of those guys, Asar the best. And then I think is Jalen Suggs probably the second best guy out of that group that I would be interested in if I was on the flip side of this. Asar and Jalen Suggs for OG should be more than enough to get it done for me. But I don't think Jalen Suggs and another one of these guys is enough for OG.
All right. Is it crucial to have at least one streaming spot for higher chance to succeed in fantasy? What do you think about this, Noah? Do you think it's critical to have at least one streaming spot in your lineup? I think that's very helpful, but I don't think it's a necessity. If your lineup is strong enough where you don't need to be streaming guys regularly and you can just mix and match off your bench with your starters, I don't think you have to have that streaming spot available. What do you think on this one?
Yeah, it's kind of tough to say. It depends on your league. Like, for example, I got asked to play in a league with some friends from college. I don't think any of them know I even work in fantasy basketball. Like, they were like kind of friends. Maybe one of them knows, but they kept dropping really good players. Like, I was able to, it's a points league. I got Paolo Banchero like off the waiver wire just because he got dropped. Zach LaVine got dropped after his really bad start, and I wasn't even able to get him. But my point is, I was able to get all these guys, and now I don't have anybody that I feel comfortable dropping because it's too good. So like you said, if your roster's too good, you don't really need it. And then there's the other scenario where most of my leagues use free agency bidding, and you can't just like stream somebody 30 minutes before game time, which in my opinion, if you're able to do that, then yes, keep that streaming spot at least 100% open. Last minute injury and boom, somebody gets moved to the starting lineup, I can adjust. But if it's something where it's like waivers process at 10 a.m. every morning and I can't make any last minute moves, which is fine. Like, that's just how the league is. Everybody has to abide by the rules. That's not me complaining about that. But it does alter kind of what I'm doing there. I'm not necessarily as caught up in, okay, who can I stream today when I have to pick somebody up at 10 a.m. and games don't start until 6, or excuse me, don't start till 7, and final injury report probably not going to know until 6:30. So kind of hard to say. I think having a couple guys that you're okay with dropping helps because it gives you a little bit more flexibility, but it depends on your league as to how crucial the streaming spot is.
All right. I bit the bullet and traded Beal for Reeves and some fab dollars. Oh, man, RIP. We'll pour one out for you. Did I get fleeced? I don't know. I don't think this is a fleecing necessarily because God only knows when Bradley Beal will actually play for Phoenix again, right? I mean, this has been just crazy for him with this back injury. I think if you're making this move, it probably signals that you are in need of a win. You need some production now. And if you need the production now, you can't have a guy languishing on your IL spot, or maybe you have an injury-prone team and your IL spots are all full, and you need to pick up some streaming options, and that fab money will help you to do so. I mean, what do you think here? I think this is completely dependent on your team. If you need the win, this is not a fleecing. It's just a very sad turn of events.
Yeah, I think it does kind of depend on that. Like if you are losing a couple games because you had Beal sitting on your bench, then it's not a bad move. We don't know when Bradley Beal is going to be back. It's a back injury, and they're not going to rush him back, especially because they have been doing an okay job winning games without him. They want him healthy, probably a few games under their belt, but mostly they want him, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant healthy for the playoffs, and that's what matters. So they'll manage his minutes, manage his games as much as they need. Reeves is going to be out there, and that's a huge plus. We know that he's going to play and play a decent amount of minutes. He's not a guy that I was super high on preseason. Like I was actually considerably lower on him than everybody else. And I think the move to the bench hurts him even more, even if it makes more sense for the Lakers to have him off the bench. But I think it does come down to games played. If you're able to trade, if it's, flipping the scenario and you're able to trade Reeves and some fab for Bradley Beal and you're 4-0, you are able to make that move. You have enough of like a comfortable lead in your standings that you can sacrifice a win now move to maybe hopefully win later, and getting Beal back, hopefully healthy within the next month or so, and hopefully healthy the rest of the way, though that's not a guarantee. So it will entirely depend on Bradley Beal's back, but I don't think he's going to play enough games for this to be considered a fleece.
All right. And Noah, that brings us to the end of the show in honor of Thanksgiving and just how thankful. I know I'm very thankful for everybody that tunes into this show every week. So thank you guys out there that are watching this right now. I think I would like to leave us with one of perhaps the most insightful and beautiful comments we've ever received on this show. All right, Noah, any parting thoughts for you, sir?
It's just crazy, man. I think that is the key to success in fantasy basketball. I think when you look at it, it's like when you consider that, there's absolutely nothing that can go against you. You should win your league, or at least finish very high in the standings in your league when you take that into consideration. So that's a great point.
All right. Mind blown here with that final comment. So, guys, I think that will do it for this week. We will be back again next Tuesday at 4 o'clock. As always, thank you so much for tuning in. Best of luck in your matchups. And I hope everybody has a wonderful Thanksgiving. I know I'm going to be eating a lot of food and watching a lot of football. And no, I hope you're doing the same, my friend.
That is exactly my plan. Food and football. Like that's what doesn't get much better than that,
It doesn't at all, man. All right, guys, take care. We will see you back here next week. See you, Noah.
See you, Zach.